Perfect. Thank you very much for joining me. Yes, my name is Sean, and you're watching MLS Does Predictions Week 16. I think we were Week 16. Who knows? Stay tuned. Perfect. Thank you very much for joining me. Yes, my name is Sean, and this is Week 16 of these MLS Sims. And if you're new to this, hit that subscribe button. It would mean a lot to me. I'm nearly at 210, I think. I'm not far off things. So yeah, go at it. And I'm on Twitch and all that kind of stuff. If you enjoyed that wee YouTube shorts, if there's only like one game during the week, I'd probably consider doing that. Better than probably just putting it on Twitter. Again, on Twitter, MLS Watch, all that kind of jazz. And like before, I keep saying that I don't really want to be doing this here for too long, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be another 15-17 minute video, so I'll crack on. I did okay in my wee short. I got the draw. I did think 2-all kind of at the start, but I kind of went for a 1-all because Minnesota, not really big goal scorers. LAFC are, but I just kind of thought 1-all would be perfect. I knew there was a part of me thinking LAFC will get the 2 goals, and then, but you know the crack. So yep. So the first game is New York City FC against Columbus Crew. New York City now have won their last 4 at home. I know probably a couple of them were in New Jersey, but you get the picture. And the last 3 they've won. So they're doing their last 4. Sorry, they're doing pretty well. And Columbus Crew won their last away game. So coming into this game is probably a bit of a trickier one. I think New York City probably will edge this one. They're just looking a wee bit better than you would actually suspect. I know they're just at 1 point, well, 1 game below, at 1 point below, and they beat Atlanta 1-0 in their last game, Columbus Crew, whereas New York City FC, they won in their home 2 games, Orlando against Montreal, and so Orlando's a pretty good result to get against, and that was like a 5-0, which I think I didn't get correct. I don't think anybody got that one correct, to be fair. So I went for a 2-1 win in this one. Just for New York City, because they are probably, that game alone, a 5-0 win, them coming into this at home with a good record, they're probably just going to be the favourites to nick this one. The next one is Orlando against Atlanta, sorry. I've already get fucked up. Anyway, Orlando against Atlanta United. So, Orlando coming into this one, I'm a bit surprised. They're not too bad at home at the moment, but again they lost that 5-0 against New York City, but they beat Philadelphia at home before that. So they're coming into this game against the Atlanta team who haven't won a game away from home, and that's one probably thing you could probably take into it. They're not really conceding a lot, so I went for like a 2-0 win to Orlando. Just it could be a 2-1 win, but I'm kind of went for a 2-0 win because I just don't think Atlanta are still getting into the swing of things. They are, let's see, what did they whereas Atlanta are not doing too great in the league. Yep, they lost their last game, which was against Columbus Crew. They drew against Cincinnati, and so their home or their away form hasn't been great. So yeah, I'm gonna go for like a 2-0 win on that one to Orlando. The next one is LA Galaxy against Portland Timbers. Now this one was kind of a bit of a weird one to me. You would, at the start of the season, you would have went, yes, LA Galaxy all day long. But then Portland Timbers have a tendency to do the dumb things and win a game where they're not supposed to win. And you know the crack. You've been watching this too many times now. You know the way I think. Portland Timbers, who lost against, they already beat LAFC 2-1, and then they beat Dallas, which Dallas are not a bad team. Saying that, they're coming up against the LA Galaxy who are without Hernandez. But I think Hernandez less. I'm very good at this. I went for like a 1-0 win. Just for this. I think Portland Timbers is probably going to be a wee bit too much for them. Again, so I'm going to go for like a 1-0 win. I think they're just probably a bit better team, and I probably think this one's going to probably just not concerned, not I'm going to say concerned, but it's just they're not going to be up for this one as much as Vancouver or Seattle or something like that, or a game that they should really win or lose. Sorry. And the next one is Seattle Sounders, who have half their team away on international duty against San Jose Earthquakes. I knew they were going to get beat by Sporting Kansas City last week. I didn't think I knew they were going to lose by 1 goal, but I didn't, or 2 goals. Well, I thought it was going to be like 2-1 or 3-2. I can't remember, but I did think they would have lost that game. Now they're coming up against the San Jose Earthquakes team who drew their last 4 games, and what was they like away from home? So yeah, 3 games away from home they drew, and Seattle lost their last home game. That was against obviously Sporting Kansas City. Yep. Actually, Seattle should win this one quite easily. I'm going to go for like a 2-0 win, just for the fact is they are a far better team. San Jose they're becoming San Jose again. When they got their new manager, they kind of went like a series, and then they went, oh yes, and then the new season started and they went back to normal. So yeah, 2-0 win to Seattle Sounders. The next one is New York Red Bull against New England Revolution. Similar kind of thing. New York Red Bulls, I would have expected them to do a bit better than what they're doing at this moment. They lost their last game, and that was against DC United away from home. Now they are going to be at home, so you can probably suggest that New York City is not in that stadium. Anyway, I don't know where the hell actually New York City. Anyway, regardless, the last 4 games New York Red Bull have lost. Sorry, they drew 1 and then they won their last 3 after that. Whereas New England away from home won their last 2. This one was a bit of a tricky one. I couldn't really get I went for a 2-1 win. Sorry, 2-1 to New England. Just for the fact is they are probably a far better team. They're at the top of the league for a reason. So yeah, I kind of went for like a 2-1 win on that one, away win. Sure. The next one is Cincinnati against DC United. Now DC United are surprisingly crawling up the table, if that's probably a nice thing to say. They beat New York Red Bulls, but then they drew against Chicago Fire, and then they got beat by Philadelphia, and then they hammered Toronto. So this is a game where you would suspect them to be playing a bit better in this one. Cincinnati, who I still probably have high hope for, even though that is probably stupid high hopes now at the moment. These two teams, let's say like Cincinnati at home haven't won a game in the last 4, whereas DC United haven't won a game in the last 4 away from home. So this one was a tricky one, but I went because for the fact is they're probably in a wee bit better form, I went for a DC United win. So I went for like a 2-1 win to DC United. Just Cincinnati it's probably going to be a game where you would suspect them to have a better game. I do suspect them to score. Them at home, they're probably going to have a bit more backing behind them and all that kind of stuff. So I do suspect them to be getting a goal on this one. But I think DC United probably be just that bit strong for them, even though it is at the cost of homecoming kind of thing too. So this one was a tricky one. So I went for a 2-1. The next one is Inter Miami against Montreal. Inter Milan are bottom of the league, and they're not doing all that great. All that money, Higuain basically sitting in his own half, which is not a bad thing. He's trying to defend, but he's not up there in goal scorer. Anyway, he's lazy, basically. Just look lazy. I don't say he is lazy, to be fair. There's a reason why he is where he is. He's a very good footballer. So coming up against the Montreal team, I went for like a 1-1. Just for the fact that I think Inter Miami should get a good positive result. They drew their last game. Who was it against? Against Philadelphia, which was an impressive result. I know, but Philadelphia are starting to get strange. They're starting to become Philadelphia again. Coming up against the Montreal team, who I don't hate at the moment. They're actually looking alright. They lost their last 2 against New York City and New England, which isn't bad, but then they already beat Cincinnati and New York City and Inter Miami already. So like a 1-0 the last time they've met. So I'm going to go for like a 1-1 draw. I think Inter Miami should probably get this one, a good result in this one. So yeah, a 1-1 draw is probably a fair result for the two of them. The next one is Houston Dynamo against Real Salt Lake. Houston in the last 4 at home, they've won 2 and then drew 2, whereas Real Salt Lake have drew 1. Is it 1? Sorry, lost 1, lost. So Houston are coming into this one a bit of better form at home, because I went for like a 1-0 win. I again, I think I've watched Houston probably once. I haven't really seen much of Real Salt Lake this season. Again, because they're on at ridiculous o'clock at times, at stupid times in the morning, so I don't really get a good chance to really see them. So I went for 1-0 win on that one for Houston. The next one is Sporting Kansas City against FC Dallas. As I said, FC Dallas are a very surprising team. They won their last game quite convincingly against LA Galaxy, 4-0. Who seen that coming? I haven't got a fucking clue. So they're coming up against the Sporting Kansas City team, who are third and after beating Seattle, who were a team a couple of players down. So I went for a 2-1 win to Sporting Kansas City. Just sort of the fact they're at home, they're probably a better team, and FC Dallas are full of young players, basically waiting for Bayern Munich to pick them up. Fair to say. The next one is Austin against Orlando. Haha, Colorado. Jesus, I get this fucked up all the bloody time. Colorado getting probably one of a good midfielder now in the transfer window there about a week ago again off LAFC. So they're coming into this one probably a wee bit better form. They are 7th in the league. A point behind LA Galaxy in coming into the season, so not too bad. Whereas Austin are 23rd. They lost their last two out at home, so that's not all that great. But I went for a Colorado 2-0 win. I think DC United. I like DC United, not DC United, Austin. Strange. I don't know why I said that. Anyway, Austin against Colorado, 2-0 win. Austin at home. Probably have will be a good wee game, but I think Colorado are just that bit better if they get this midfielder up and going. So the next one is Vancouver against Minnesota. Minnesota already played last night. This is a Thursday. Yes, it's a Thursday. So against the Vancouver team. That's my chair. So against the Vancouver team, who are 22nd, I went for a 1-0 again. So two teams are probably well matched. Minnesota a bit better, probably, but they're away from home, so I went for a 1-0. The next one's Philadelphia against Chicago Fire. Philadelphia should win this one. Like, come on, swear to God. Like, Philadelphia are starting to annoy me. They've only won one game in the last 6. That was against DC United. At home, they've won all their last 4. So out of their last 4, they've won them all. So coming into this, I went for a 2-0 win against Chicago Fire, who haven't won a game in the last. They haven't won a game away. So that's not great. So a 2-0 win, probably a comfortable win. It could be either 3, no Philadelphia, it could be 1, but I went for a 2-0 win. And then the last one is Toronto against Nashville. Toronto are starting to pick it up. They, at home they haven't. Well, in the last 4 they lost 2 and then they drew 2. So they're getting better. Toronto did win their last away game, the last game against Chicago Fire, which was a 2-1 win. So coming into this one against Nashville, who are a far better team, who are 4th in the league. Wow, who beat Cincinnati and then drew. They're doing very well. Away from home, not all particularly all great. Nashville haven't won a game away from home, whereas for this one I went for a 1-1. I think Toronto probably couldn't actually nick a win in this one at home, but I think Nashville are a very, very good team set up and have a very good defense, and I think this game is probably going to be a bit of a frustrating game for Toronto, so I went for a 1-1 draw. Perfect. Those were my predictions. I hope you enjoyed them. As I said, if you're new to this, hit that subscribe button if you even have made it this far, and I hope to see you on the next one, which I believe is going to be on Thursdays. So see you on Twitch. Yep, good. Bye.